2013 in Denmark, a group of Italians, almost all Italians, got together and founded a software company. Don't know why they were in Denmark. I think there were 6 Italians, founded this company called Bending Spoons, which I think is a wonderful name for a company. When I first looked at them, I thought it was this classic Uri Geller, like using his mind trick, but apparently it's from the Matrix. So this company, Bending Spoons, Luca Ferrari is the founder's name, I think. Right, so founded as this tech company in 2013. Software, brilliant, okay? They, until COVID, released a few things, did pretty well, okay? And when I say pretty well, I mean 20 apps, right? 340 million downloads, 12 million active users across that, 90 million in revenue by the time they hit 2023.
Yearly revenue or in total?
Really kicking off. In total. But where they really came to prominence in terms of what people knew Bending Spoons were is that they built the contract tracing app in Italy for COVID. I love that. They've pinged out these amazing games and then they've gone, do you know what? Bit of fucking COVID tracing, classic. So they came into the consciousness then. But so these guys are super successful. They know how to do apps, right? It's a niche. They focused on gaming. They've done some things that neither you or I would ever use or ever know. But what gets really interesting is that post-COVID 2020, 2021, they started to buy up semi-defunct or semi-cash-strapped, distressed applications, be that apps that are on computer, apps that are on mobile. And from that period, they've actually gone on to acquire 5 or 6 businesses, and they've kind of developed themselves into a bit of a mini operational PEVC company, which I think is fascinating. They just raised a round of funding in 2023, right? 115 million at a 2.8 billion valuation. This is a company that started in 2013 building mobile phone applications. Their model, Doug, and this is what I think is interesting. They go and find a company that is, well developed, fairly mature, but like a true PE would do, they go and see the opportunity to turn it around. So they bought Meetup. You ever heard of Meetup?
Like a red logo.
The red and white Meetup, the red logo. So they went and bought that. They tore out the tech, fired all the people, like, see you later, Silicon Valley types, off you pop. Popped in a load of Italian developers, half the price, changed the monetization around, and then started to scale the business. Then they bought a company called Mosaic that had 5 apps with inside of it. Did the same thing. Looked at it. Where's the monetization opportunities? What can we do with our churn? What can we do here? Do we get rid of this free version? Do we put a paid version on? Rip the tech out. Fired a load of people. Evernote. You ever heard of Evernote? The darling of the late, kind of like the early 2010s.
Green elephant.
Green logo.
Yeah, elephant, isn't it?
Green elephant, yeah. Elephant. They just bought them as part of this recent raise. Fired all of the people straight out the gate, putting these people in. And they're beginning to turn around the monetization, making it a bit more expensive. So they have become, why I think this is really interesting, because I kind of love to do it. They're basically looking at businesses that are interesting, businesses that have got room for growth, but need their particular skill set. So they're becoming like an operationalized VCPE, and they're absolutely storming it. And I thought I'd bring that because I think that's dead interesting. You might be falling asleep now, wishing you're out with your walk with Sammy. But I think to be able to go from 2013 in the first 7 years, hit those numbers, and then go, do you know what? We're going to go and buy companies and turn them around, I think is a really fascinating evolution. And I thought you like looking at companies, so you might think that was quite interesting.
I love the idea of like having more control over the investments that you make. Like, what's never excited me about venture is, you just fucking put some money in and it's just lottery. It's just down a casino, really, isn't it? You might make it. It's all about pipeline and making good decisions. Whereas this is it's sort of similar to your model, isn't it? It's like you have an investment, but you've got a seat at the table to actually, not just at the board table, but actually influence on the ground. Yeah. Which I like the sound of.
Yeah. It's I mean, there's a load of stuff coming through as like operational VC, where VCs are going to have to start to do things outside of just giving capital. Used to call it value add, where you'd have like sector expertise, or they might put advisory in. Whereas now it's like, can you actually particularly in the PE side, I think is interesting. Can you go and acquire companies? Can you rip out elements of it that you then replace with more cost-effective solutions or something that is a bit more effective, and then look at the business model and go and turn it around? Because Evernote's got millions of users, millions, and they've just gone and picked it up, made some changes to make it more profitable, and now they're beginning to mess around with the monetization side. I think they're a fascinating company.
It's kind of the economies of scale are amazing, aren't they? Once you know how to do, search, or how to build products, if you can just deploy that team into all these businesses, it's so much easier than just building teams from scratch or trying to hire a team. It's just laced with disaster, isn't it? If you try and do that.
Yeah. And I think and you can have all the processes around all the engineering, all of the design, all of the product that you just plug and play, and then it becomes basically a sales and marketing and growth challenge.
I mean, we have found that literally just having two actual businesses and sort of a third attempt at one. We have loads of the same processes across the two businesses. Like we use exactly the same. We use Slack in the same way. We use the management, accounting, and budgeting and reporting in the same way. We have the same Xero. We use the same banking. We use the same little things like the newsletter. So we design. One company works out how to design a newsletter, and you just take that and you just fucking plonk it in the other one. Not everything works the same, obviously. These are quite different businesses, but so much of it's the same. So I love that. I love that. And if I would rather be involved in that than just venture, just fucking pumping checks all over the place.
Yeah, and this is an interesting movement as well. Like because obviously we're in the venture studio space. We are operational. We build with early stage founders, as you know. But there's a new kind of movement around what they're called rescue studios, and these guys are buying companies on a bigger scale because they've got the capital behind them. But there are people that are going to buy businesses at 300 grand, 500 grand, and then beginning to look at ways to kind of spin those around to make them profitable, and then return to their LPs, over time with a marginal outlay. And the people who want to sell them are wanting to sell them because they might just want out. They might have given it 6 years of their life. It may not be going anywhere for them, and they may not have access to the resources like capital and team to be able to turn it around. I think it's a really interesting kind of model. I'm dead keen to do it. It's like mini PE. I think it's a really interesting space.
I think there's an episode there, Cal, where Rich talks about how he's going to go from where he is to having that working, because I do think it's a good fit.
Rescue Studios.
With the infrastructure that you've got, Studios. You're ready to go. Rescue Studios. There it is. All right.
There's one really interesting one called Palm Ventures.
Every week we're going to do 2 episodes, and we're going to come up with some cool business stuff, either a company, an idea, a person that has just done some cool shit in business that is going to be fun to listen to, might learn something, maybe don't, but it's going to be great. And that if you subscribe, we've got Spotify or with the real juice, YouTube, so you can see all Cal's little graphics and stuff. That's where I'd subscribe. At the moment, we've got we want to get this year to 50,000, don't we, Rich?
50,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need some shit to go viral, don't we? And we need you, the listener, to subscribe. So please do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, please subscribe and listen to Doug and I uncover some absolute gems of the business world.
See you, Rich.
Bring them to you with great verve and guile.
And cheap hats.
This isn't that. Oh, this is cheap, actually. This is a cheap one.